You've flown so many times, but have you ever stopped to wonder why there isn't a single sharp corner on an airplane? Rounded windows, rounded doors. Even the little tray holding your chicken and rice meal has soft edges. Everything looks gentle. No harsh angles, no sharp lines. It's almost as if the entire aircraft was designed by someone who hated squares. Coincidence? Not at all. It's a life or death decision, a quiet secret that allows us to cruise at 10,000 meters above the Earth, nearly 3 times the height of Mount Fansipan, while casually sipping orange juice like nothing's happening. The real question is this: what would happen if a perfect 90-degree corner appeared on an airplane's body? Sounds dramatic. Hold on. We're about to talk about an invisible battle between air and metal, a battle every single flight must endure. Picture it this way. An airplane is basically a giant aluminum chest. As it climbs, the outside air becomes thinner and thinner. At cruising altitude, the pressure outside drops to about 1/4 of what it is at sea level. Meaning if you opened a door up there, well, let's not go that far. To keep passengers breathing comfortably, the cabin is pressurized. Inside, the environment feels like being at about 400 meters above sea level, still high, but safe enough for you to breathe normally and complain about the in-flight meal. Here's the fascinating part. Every takeoff and landing makes the fuselage expand and contract slightly. You can't see it with the naked eye, but the metal really does stretch. Each flight is like a long metallic inhale and exhale. A commercial airplane may go through tens of thousands of these cycles during its lifetime. Imagine bending a paperclip over and over. The first few times, nothing. By the 50th bend, fatigue starts. By the 200th, snap. Metal behaves the same way. It experiences something called material fatigue. The term sounds harmless. The consequences are anything but. And this is where the uncomfortable question appears. What happens when all that tension meets a perfect right angle? In engineering, there's a concept called stress concentration. It sounds complicated, but here's an easier way to picture it. You're pulling on a sheet of paper. If the edge is smooth, the force spreads evenly. But if there's a tiny cut at the edge, all the tension gathers at that cut. Pull just a little more, and the whole sheet tears. A right-angle corner on an aircraft acts like that tiny cut. When the cabin is pressurized, force pushes outward from inside. If it meets a curved edge, the stress flows smoothly, like water sliding around a rounded stone in a stream. But if it slams into a sharp 90-degree corner, the force gets trapped and concentrated into one small point. Stress there can be 3 or 4 times higher than anywhere else. 3 or 4 times. If the fuselage carries 10 units of tension overall, that corner might be bearing 30 or 40. The metal begins to tire. Microscopic cracks, too small for the naked eye, start forming exactly at that spot, and metal has a terrible habit once it cracks. It doesn't heal. The fracture grows a little longer with every flight cycle. Like a bad secret stretching across time. Everything still looks normal. The aircraft flies smoothly. The pilot smiles. But somewhere inside the structure, a crack may be quietly growing. Flight after flight. This is where history steps into the story. In the 1950s, aviation entered the jet age. Aircraft flew higher, faster, more modern than ever, and many of them had square windows. They looked sleek, stylish, cutting edge. But metal doesn't care about fashion. After several catastrophic mid-air failures, engineers began a detective-style investigation. They rebuilt aircraft fuselages inside giant water tanks and repeatedly pressurized them to see where cracks would appear. And guess what? The fractures always started at the window corners. Not the engines. Not the wings. Those innocent-looking square corners. From that moment on, the rules changed. Windows became oval, softly rounded. Doors and maintenance panels, and every pressurized opening on the fuselage were redesigned to eliminate stress concentration points. It wasn't an aesthetic choice. It was a survival decision. And here's what fascinates me most. Every time you fly at around 800 kilometers per hour, faster than a real-world Formula One car, you're sitting inside a metal structure engineered down to the curve of every edge. There's no room for reckless sharp angles. Next time you sit by the window, instead of saying, "Why is it so small?" try placing your hand along that curved frame. That gentle curve isn't decoration. It's the result of painful lessons, unforgiving physics, and thousands of hours of testing to make sure pressure never gets the chance to lose control. We're flying through the sky inside a metal body that breathes, stretches, and ages over time. And every rounded edge is a reminder that design isn't just about beauty, it's about survival. If this story makes your next flight feel a little less ordinary, maybe next time we'll dig into another hidden airplane secret, like why that tiny tray table can survive someone accidentally leaning their entire body weight on it. Trust me, in the sky, nothing is ever designed by accident.